Hey guys, let's talk about last night's episode of Scandal, which was just, epic, you guys. Just a lot. Right off the bat, you guys, let's just go ahead and talk about the rape scene and just talk about all of that. A big portion of this episode was in flashback mode. We went backwards to kind of see the moment when Fitz decides to run for governor, which is obviously the start of his path towards the presidency. So a lot of crap happens, right? As we see Big Jerry and Mellie and Cyrus trying to convince Fitz to run. On a side note, I just want to mention how much I loved the Throwback Thursday version of Cyrus with hair. It was rather interesting. So one of the big things we get from this episode is that Fitz's dad, Big Jerry, actually raped Mellie. Like, there's this scene where the two of them are trying to figure out, how to get Fitz on board, and Big Jerry is drinking quite a lot. I'm thinking to myself, these two are going to strategize. We know that Mellie wants Fitz to run, and Big Jerry wants him to do whatever he tells him to do. You guys, it was shocking and awful, and just, I was not even expecting anything like that. At first, when he puts his hand on her knee, I'm thinking to myself, like, this man is going to hit on her. I can't believe that. And then as he starts to get kind of more physical with her, and I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my gosh, like, there's no way he's gonna rape her. Like, somebody's gonna come in the room. And it was tough to watch, you guys, but I really appreciate how real they were about it, I feel like sometimes when we think about rape in pop culture, and we see it in movies or used as a device in a TV show or a book or something, we see our favorite character dealing with some creeper, who's getting a little too grabby, but then somebody always swoops in, to kind of save the day. That's not real life, though, unfortunately. And in real life, there are women who get assaulted and nobody is there to save them, which really sucks. And so I appreciated the honesty of that, in that it was real, it was raw, it was awful and degrading and just awful, really. Knowing that, though, you guys, knowing that that is in Mellie's past, does that not explain so much of who she is? Now, we always hear Mellie ranting and raving at Fitz about all the sacrifices she's made and this and that. And of course, we always assume that she was talking about, giving up being a lawyer, or the fact that she has babies, when we all know that Mellie doesn't like babies. But we also get that she's talking about this, because after he rapes her, she doesn't say anything. You get that she really kind of sacrificed that piece of herself as well to get Fitz to where he is now. Now, the other part of this story is that later on in the flashback, Mellie is all of a sudden telling Fitz that she's pregnant. And we get that it's not that long after she was raped. And so that means that it is highly likely that Mellie and Fitz's son is actually Big Jerry's son. Bellamy Young has just been fantastic this season, and she played those scenes so well. All kinds of Emmys should be chasing her down the street very, very soon. So let's talk about the rest of the episode. Let's talk about stupid ass Quinn. Sorry, I just totally cursed. See what happens when I talk about Quinn? I can't even control the words that come out of my mouth. So remember a couple weeks ago when I said Quinn getting a gun was not gonna lead anywhere good? This is the episode where we see that payoff. We basically get that Quinn has been at the gun range with Charlie, and they've got this little relationship vibey thing that's going on. Of course, Charlie is trying to recruit her for B613, but Quinn is just doing her, like, dangerous flirty game. She thinks he's coming on to her, which he probably is a little bit. At one point, he, like, grabs her and kisses her. He's basically doing the thing that she wants Huck to do. She wants Huck to really show her, what it's like to be an assassin, and of course he won't, but Charlie will. And so later in the episode, we see her in the car with him. He's taken her on one of his jobs and is like, hey, do you want to help me? And she's stupid enough to say yes. Let's flash back for a second, right? Because at OPA, Olivia has come to the table and she's really laid it all out there. The new client of the week is basically Olivia's mom. And her goal is to get OPA to help her find information about Operation Remington. So they're finding out all kinds of clues and different things about this flight. So they finally find this, like, one last airline worker who they're going to interview. And of course, this turns out to be the same person that Charlie is trying to kill, because Charlie is working for command. So back to Charlie and Quinn. He convinces her, like, I'm just gonna break in here. I need you to knock out the guard. He gives her a syringe filled with something. Quinn goes in, uses the syringe, thinking she's just gonna knock this guy out, and she ends up killing him. He starts foaming at the mouth, and then he's dead. The whole time, I was just thinking, like, is this girl just the dumbest girl in the entire world? Remember back when, she was Lindsay Dwyer, and it was like, oh my gosh, she's a murderer, and you're thinking, no, she's not, she's innocent. Well, now she really is a murderer, because she totally killed this guy, because she's an idiot. And not just that, it's like an office building, it's nighttime, there's cameras everywhere. At the end of the episode, we see her trying to call Huck, and then who should show up but Charlie to pretty much tell her, like, look, I've got you on camera. Welcome to B613. Let's talk about Abby for a hot second, you guys. I really loved the scene in this episode where Abby goes into Olivia's office and just tells her, like, look, I'm gonna hug you. Here it comes. Don't move. And I don't know. I just loved it. It was like this moment between friends, and you get that it was something that Olivia needed, but something she would probably never ask for. And I just thought it was really, really sweet. And yeah, I love that we kind of got to see that between the two of them. Just a few other tidbits that we got in this episode. One is about Sally Langston's husband. So we get that Cyrus and Mellie have this plan, you know, that they're gonna catch him in an affair, and so they hire a prostitute, and they're at this party, but the problem is that Sally's husband isn't biting. Like, he doesn't really seem all that interested in this woman, and then a few minutes later, he starts chatting it up with James, and we start to get that Sally's husband is gay. And you guys know that Cyrus is so evil that he is gonna pimp James out and use him as bait. So there were a couple people talking in the comment section of the review that I did last week about whether or not Fitz and Cyrus know that Command is Olivia's dad. And I really don't think that they do. That is until this week, right? Because we see that Fitz has got the Secret Service watching Olivia. They're doing like a background check and all kinds of stuff. And while Fitz is kind of looking at this file, he sees a picture of Olivia's dad, and there you go. And of course, probably the biggest news in this episode, so many of you guessed it, Olivia's mother is not dead, people. Mama Pope is alive and well. Maybe not well, because she's locked up. At the end of the episode, we see Rowan going into some like secure bunker prison thing. And who should be locked up in one of the cells but Olivia's mother? And that brings up so many questions. I don't think we have time in this video to list them all. I'm really loving that part of the story, you guys. Like, I can't wait to figure out why she's locked up there and what her story is and what's been going on. You guys, it was a good episode. I mean, it was a lot. It was shocking. It was crazy. I mean, it was definitely scandalous for sure. Can't wait to see what happens next. As always, you guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to tell me what you thought about this episode down in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.